Good, beautiful morning, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Shortcuts for Your Soul. My name is William Michael Forbes. I'm a spiritual medium, a channel, and an intuitive life coach. And today I have with me the energy of a collective called the Divine Collective, which is a group of beings that are on the higher spectrum of consciousness than most of humanity. And this is the thing they want to discuss with us, that you must realize that you are in a dimension where there is a spectrum of all things. In the human kingdom, there are beings of very low animalistic nature that are souls that have just evolved out of the animal kingdom and moved into the human kingdom for the very first time. Many of these beings are primarily excited and delighted by the sensations of pleasure of the senses and function primarily as those that are getting what they need to get to satisfy their own lusts, wants, and needs. And this is the lower spectrum of humanity, where you are driven by sense pleasure primarily. It is the lower spectrum. You are more identified with the self as the body and not the self as the soul. There are individuals that need to go through that experience of transitioning from animal consciousness towards human consciousness. And it is important you understand this spectrum when you consider your social and political creations as a mechanism for managing your societies. That those in the higher spectrums of human consciousness, that is, those that understand the functions of reason and logic, are very able to organize things and circumstances and situations very differently than those at the lower spectrum of humanity. And then there are those that work towards the median expression of humanity, those that have some understanding of the value and beneficence that one should have towards others and not just towards themselves. This takes up the bulk of the human population, that median area between animal and spiritually awakened, which is the higher spectrum of human potential. In this median area, the vast majority of you live, move, and have your being, vacillating between sense pleasure and higher noble attributes, developing various skills and abilities that are latent in your consciousness, such skills as intuition, telepathy, seeing with the eye of the spirit, hearing with the ear of the spirit. The vast majority of you live within that medium, often vacillating between your sense pleasure self and your higher nobility in terms of your understanding that there is a cooperative effort that needs to occur in order for your civilizations to function and flourish. The percentage of you that live in the lower spectrum is small, but still impactful upon your existence here. It makes up about 8% of your overall population function on this exclusive level of sense pleasure, where the acquisition of power, wealth, are for the benefit of experience of the senses, only for the individual to gain pleasure, no matter what it takes to do so, whether it is to harm others or start wars. This lower spectrum of humanity is responsible for many of the difficulties that your civilizations face. At one point in your civilizations, you had structures of law in place that attempted to deal with this spectrum of the population, such things as your corporal punishment, your eye for an eye, your tooth for a tooth philosophy was a way of trying to elevate these individuals to dissuade destructive and harmful behaviors with the hope that you could lift them up higher into the spectrum. But understand, these These lower vibrational individuals have come here primarily to experience the human stage at its lowest manifestation. Those of you in the median spectrum, many of you striving and struggling to find meaning and value in your lives, are looking for ways to get out of the attachment you have to the senses. You are breaking away from that lower spectrum. You are in the process of understanding, honoring, and cherishing such things as your brothers and sisters, your children, your families, creativity, playfulness, social interaction, cooperative endeavors and efforts. In that medium spectrum, a great deal unfolds that allows your civilizations to thrive and flourish. Those in the median spectrum, that is, that larger percentage, which makes up about 75% of you, that large, medium, all of you are primarily responsible for the labors of humanity that produce the structures, the creations, the electrical systems, the scientific manifestations are executed by that median spectrum. And then there are those of you that are in the higher spectrum of human consciousness that understand and know very specific principles of consciousness and energy, where you are able to, as an act of your will, bring into manifestation new ideas, systems of thoughts, beliefs, and functions of social conduct that elevate humanity collectively up a little higher. You are the idea generators, the innovators, the creators, the ones that have beautiful, wonderful, uplifting ideas for the betterment of all, irrespective of where one is on the spectrum. Your desire is to elevate all up to that place which you find yourselves. And yet you find yourselves at this upper spectrum because you have evolved yourself there through repeated experiences, as each and every human being is in the process of doing that. Even those in the lower spectrum lived primarily from the perspective of survival in the animal kingdom, as this is what the animal kingdom thrives on, is the function of survival, the existence of the physical organism. And those that have left that function of the animal consciousness and have evolved into human consciousness still carry very closely with them these instinctual base elements of behavior that come over from the animal kingdom into the human kingdom. And they will, through their experiences, evolve gradually into the median phase of the human collective unconsciousness, that large 75% spectrum where you are all in the process of seeking to realize and understand and grasp and comprehend a better life, a better way of existing and creating than the way you currently do in this median expression. All of you know that there is a better life, there is a meaning, and there is a purpose. All that are in the median expression of human consciousness spectrum know that there is a purpose, a reason, and a meaning for life. And what might that meaning be can be revealed to you in the higher spectrum of humanity, where those individuals who have shifted from the identity of the self being selfish to the identity of the self being selfless, understanding the functions of love, compassion, creativity towards self and others, that the well-meaning and well-being of the individual is extended to those all around them. They are very purposeful, deliberate, functional creators that are responsible for producing social systems and structures that have allowed civilizations to rise up from the dust of primarily tribal nature into highly evolved civilizations that engage in the function of understanding the mysteries of the invisible realms of life. And then there are those that are at the very highest spectrum of humanity. Those divine ones, the angels, the guides, the ascended masters, the ones that understand that this world is but a transitory place that you move through and will eventually leave to a higher dimension. These are the individuals that begin to explore and understand the root, the source, and the meaning of life, and how their function of consciousness leads them towards a state of evolution that is beyond the spectrum of the 5-sensory being. These individuals meticulously take time to go inward and away from the senses of this world to look for the very nature and source of life. They often take that experience and attempt to bring it to the rest of humanity and demonstrate this great wonder of the infinite consciousness that is responsible for the manifestation of life itself. And the pursuit is very, very wonderful and delicious to go into when you understand that there is a source of life that is within you that you may unite with and bring all manner of goodness to humanity. Many of your functions of healing and mysteries that you see your science is solving come from this higher spectrum that has brought you to consider that there is more to life than what you see with your eyes and hear with your ears. If you consider this, you might find that understanding that there is this spectrum of humanity, you may have a different understanding and a different degree of compassion for those at the lower vibrational spectrum of human functionality, those who are closer in animal consciousness than human consciousness, but live in a human form. If you understand, then you will have a little understanding that they are simply coming out of that plane of consciousness that you call the animal kingdom. Now, the animal kingdom, of course, is governed by a very specific set of laws that allows its economics of survival to be very prosperous and abundant. However, in the human realm, when one transitions from animal to human, where the conscious functions of reason and intuition and perception begin to emerge into the awareness of the individual, but still burdened with the consciousness of the animal, that function of survival, well, their behavior can be somewhat destructive, harmful to civilizations as they function from control, power, and authority for the purpose of survival. It is why such inordinate desire for the acquisition of wealth and power is often a direct result of that need to survive irrespective. You've asked the question, why do some individuals need so much? It is because some of these individuals understand the function of creation so profoundly that they cannot help but become very abundant. But there are a few exceptions that through the acquisition, no matter how much they may have or acquire, they can never seem to acquire enough. Deep in their soul, they still feel the call of the animal that may fear its survival. And so it acquires as much as it possibly can to avoid the demise of their life. It can be difficult to consider that there is this spectrum of human consciousness, but it's not so difficult if you look at the behavior of individuals that are violent and aggressive, desiring, wanting, thieves. Such things are individuals that are functioning from this level of survival, which is primarily rooted in the animal kingdom, but when it is emerging into the human kingdom, it still functions in a very similar way, but without the natural governors that are in place of such things as the bird or the bear, the wolf, the deer. All of these animals have an internal regulation about what they need to eat, what they need to drink, how they need to live or procreate. There are specific governors in that spectrum of consciousness that does not allow them to be horrible and destructive on a scale such as you see some humans beginning wars and destructiveness. What is beginning to awaken your humanity now is this higher spectrum of consciousness. Those individuals that understand that there is a function of life that, when understood by even the simplest of beings, can elevate them up significantly. To raise the dead is an allegory for understanding that there are those individuals that are indeed at a very low function of humanity, but given the right knowledge and information and experience, can be lifted up by those that understand it. It is one of the reasons why such things as teaching and learning have become cornerstones for growing your societies and civilizations over the many millions of years that humanoid forms have lived upon this planet. But that system of the spectrum of consciousness has always existed, even in the humanoid realm. And it will always exist within the humanoid realm, as there are always beings evolving from the microscopic level to the human level and everything in between. You all take a kick at the can, so to speak. You all have taken a turn at being a blade of grass or a tree. You've taken your turn at being a bird, a bear, a fish. You've taken your turn at being the lion. You've been all of these things, and now you are human if you are hearing these words and understanding them. And beyond human, there is something else that very few of you will have the opportunity to experience in a single lifetime. More often than not, many of you go through many lifetimes before you get to the realization that there is something more to your existence, something more to be understood than simply eating and sleeping and procreating, that there's a higher state of being. But this is a natural progression that happens. The individual going from the lower spectrum of consciousness to the higher spectrum of consciousness, the experiential reality of different lifetimes and various experiences over tens of thousands of years will eventually lead you to a deeper and more profound understanding of your existence. As this civilization that you see upon the face of the planet now, there are a larger number of you now that consider these other realms of angels and demons and all these different spectrums of consciousness that exist, because it exists in this realm as well. For those of you that wish to ascend beyond, you may wish to consider the distinction between who you are, what your mind is, what your body is, and the different functional components of each part. The body in and of itself is still an animal. You must understand this. Your body in and of itself is still an animal. It is not you, but it has all of the functional behavior of an animal. But you are not the animal when you come to this revelation that the body is something that is functionally an animal, but you have a level of authority over it. Those of you that wish to pursue a higher realm of consciousness will come to know this, that the impulses and compulsions of the body are not necessarily yours, but they are of the body. And you may remain subjective to them, and you may not remain subjective to them. And once you recognize the distinction between you, your mind, your emotions, and your body, the journey of ascension begins in earnest. That is, you start to look at the spectrum of yourself as an individual, the spectrum of the animal, which is the body or the flesh, the spectrum of the human, which is logic and reason, the spectrum of your soul, which is intuition, wonderful things. And you have the spectrum within you as you observe it in the world around you. When you begin to make that distinction that you have a mind, a system of memory that is not you, that you are an entity of consciousness that is perhaps reaching a point where you are able to begin to discern between your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and yourself, that there are distinct lines of demarcation between body, mind, soul, and spirit. And that those of you that begin to recognize that demarcation, learn to place the mind and body, the emotions, into their proper place of being directed and guided by you as the sentient soul that you are evolving into. Whether you understand these words or not, this is inevitably going to happen. You will evolve through your experiences to the different state. Whether it takes one lifetime or 1,000, there are inevitable outcomes to the development of your consciousness. So as there is a spectrum that we've mentioned in humanity as a whole, there's a spectrum within the individual as well. Body, the mind, the emotions, thoughts, awareness, the soul. You have a spectrum that is what you are. And you have a position in that spectrum to be conscious or to not be conscious. Many of you believe you are your body. And so you are driven by the compulsions of its animal nature, of sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. Many of you are driven by the thoughts and ideas and beliefs in your mind, which orchestrate different functions of action through your physiology. So the acts of creating civilizations and new developments and structures, your thought governs the flesh. And then there is your awareness that can observe and operate the mind independent of the mind itself, that you can become aware of thoughts, emotions, considerations, and you can begin to utilize your awareness to orchestrate your mind differently, to create different manifestations. You become a creator instead of a mere organism driven by sense pleasure, or an organism strictly driven by the collage of thoughts you've acquired from this world. You begin to awaken as you reach the higher spectrum within your own consciousness of being a soul, the spirit of universal light, recognizing, I am not this body, I am not this mind. I have a mind, I have a body, and I can operate and govern them from the perspective of my being. You shift your realm of knowledge from being that which you get exclusively from the world to a realm of knowledge that is just above you in degree anyway. You begin to activate intuition and perception, imagination, reason. You learn to see without eyes and hear without ears. You begin to receive information and guidance from that next whisper of the self that is just slightly above you. That you begin to ascend your consciousness to that place where many of your masters have said, the house of the Father, the kingdom of God, the divine place, the Akashic record, the place just slightly above you, as you are slightly above your mind, as your mind is slightly above your emotions, as your emotions are slightly above your body. There is a spectrum of evolution of consciousness that you are each going through. And from what we've said today, you can begin to articulate where in that spectrum are you most dominantly finding yourself. Are you entranced in the body, the desire for things and sensations? Are you trapped in that realm of consciousness? Are you trapped in the thinking realm of thought and idea, belief? Are you stuck in that realm? Are you in that spectrum? Are you the awareness that can observe and analyze and evaluate the mind? Observe, evaluate, and analyze the body. Make functional changes in them, where you now are the operator of the system and no longer subjective to the system itself. If you understand what we're saying, then you can easily evaluate, oh, I am driven more by my senses. I love to eat too much food. I love to drink too much. I like to make my body feel a certain way so I feel good. Then you are in that lower spectrum of believing that the body is the source and locus of your identity. And that will have a very different outcome for you in this world. Or that you believe that you're simply the mind, the thinking system of thought that you've acquired from this world. And you believe your thoughts and you do not analyze or evaluate them. You simply follow according to the thoughts that you've acquired from this world. And a vast majority of you do this. You follow exclusively the thoughts that have been put in your mind. And so you govern yourself not as an act of your own free will, but remain subjective to the content of your mind. And then there are those of you that can observe the content of your mind and deliberately and intelligently recognize what thoughts, what beliefs, what ideas are in service to you. What thoughts, what beliefs, what ideas do you no good? In that perspective, your soul is beginning to awaken. You're beginning to move to the higher perspective of your being, into the higher spectrum of humanity, away from the animus towards the spirit, your awareness, your soul that can say, these thoughts, these ideas, these beliefs are not beneficent to my life or the lives of others. You begin to extend yourself beyond the surface of your skin to become aware of the value of others around you. You begin to awaken, become aware that you are not your thoughts, you are not your memories, you are not your emotions. Your soul is born and your ascension begins, and you begin to seek Who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? And this is a very important consideration for you to hear. That if you are wondering, what am I here to do? It is because your soul is awakening. You know that there's a greater purpose for you than the one that the world has placed in your mind to get you to accept as the reality. And there is a purpose for you as you begin to awaken. There is a purpose for you as you begin to awaken. It requires that you learn to place your mind and your body and your emotions in service of your vision, to no longer remain subjected to the compulsions of the flesh or the conditioning you've been given in mind. You question and evaluate thoughts, ideas, and beliefs to such an extent that you have a level of clarity that you know the distinction between that which is true and that which is false, that which is right and that which is wrong. You have a clear distinction, and you are unafraid to make corrections. If you are faced with a truth that is higher than your own, you will evaluate it. You will not simply reject it because you are fearful, or you're judgmental, or you're angry. You will evaluate truth when it is presented to you fearlessly. And in that position, your soul, as it continues to awaken, will begin to flourish. You'll begin to attract into the sphere of your consciousness beings of such radiance and goodness that they will assist you in your evolution and development. The ones that you would call the angels, the deities, the higher vibrational beings that you understand. Many of you refer to them as ascended masters. It does not matter what name you give us. The reality is that we exist. And for those of you that seek to break free of the bonds of subjectivity to humanity, you are reaching your hand heavenward towards us, and we will reach our hand down and lift you up. But understand that you are in that spectrum somewhere, and you may choose your position in that spectrum as an act of your own free will. And those that hear these words and understand their meaning will do so. Because when the truth is heard, the truth is heard. It cannot be unheard when you hear it. If you do not hear it, then you do not hear it. But understand that humanity has a spectrum, and you have a spectrum, and they mirror each other. And as more and more of you begin to ascend your consciousness up out of subjectivity to the flesh, to the mind, to the emotions, as you ascend your consciousness up and take loving authority over this system that you've been given to exist in, well, then you will find us coming to you in various ways, offering you signs and symbols, signals, and even direct communication that can inspire you and guide you out of the darkness from which you have come. The darkest place for the evolution of the soul is that place between the animal consciousness and the human consciousness. That first step into the realm of the human kingdom is the most difficult, as one is governed primarily by the senses of the body and not the awareness of the soul. But one, irrespective of their perspective, can be lifted up. You may lift others up as well with your knowledge, your wisdom, and your truth. And this is what we came to say to you today. And that is all you need to hear today. So that's been my morning with the Divine Collective. I want to say thank you to the Divine Collective for coming in today. Here we are. Wonderful, very, very quiet group today. Got one person here on YouTube. I might have some people over on Facebook. But it's a short day. I have things to get accomplished. You're very welcome. I hope you have enjoyed today's live event. If you want to know more about the work that I do, you can go to my website, williammichaelforbes.com, and look at the various classes, courses, and services that I offer, including half-hour, 1-hour readings, special guided hypnosis, which is really powerful, 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 where you can be guided into a very profound state of consciousness, to a state of wonder, remembering who you are. I highly encourage you to look at that. You did not come here to suffer. You came here to evolve. It's not working on YouTube. Well, it says that I'm live on YouTube, so I'm not certain what's happening. Let me take a peek here. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what happens if I do that. I have no idea what's going to happen. There we go. So apparently I can just click go live here now on that one. So I'm live on Facebook and I'm live on, yeah, there we are. We should be live on YouTube now. My apologies. I have no idea why I did that. StreamYard is awkward sometimes, but again, everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. For those of you that are on my YouTube channel, I will repost today's live event on my YouTube channel so you can watch this very important message from the Divine Collective. It's a very, very important message. And again, I don't know why it indicated that I was live, but it didn't go live on YouTube. I had to click a different button. I've never had that happen before, but hey, everything happens for a reason. I want to wish you all much love. What? Really? Okay. They're saying I can take a few questions, so I'm going to do that. Hi, Polly. Good to see you. Thank you for telling me, Polly. Appreciate that. You have a great day, too. Hi. Yeah, I don't know why the YouTube wasn't live. Thank you for telling me, everybody. Appreciate it. When I'm channeling, I'm not reading what's coming up on the screen. Understand, I'm not personally involved at that point. I'm just allowing the message that they're going to give us on any given day to flow through. So I'm not stopping and analyzing, but I can see all your messages here. Thank you so much for doing that. Hi, Bridget. Good to see you. I will repost the transmission on my YouTube channel. It was unfortunate that YouTube did not take that on, but hi, welcome here anyway. We're into the Q&A side of things. Hi. Thank you for telling me that. Hi, is there any message for me, please? Hello, Serendipity. How are you? Well, this is not just for you. It's for everybody. Really, but because you brought up, it has to be said. Very important. Hydration today. Make certain you're properly hydrated today. Drink a good, healthy amount of water and go out and ground. Get your feet on the ground or your hands upon the bark of trees, on living trees. Very important. Hydration and grounding, very important today, right? There's a lot of stuff that's going to be going on this planet energetically. We're making a huge shift. The consciousness of humanity is going through a massive shift. It's going from a massive shift. And I know it's really hard for a lot of people to accept that that's happening right now. Just hang on for a few more weeks and you're going to see a bounce back that's going to be so wonderful. I know a lot of you think you made the wrong decision, but I promise you, you did not make the wrong decision. I promise you, you are going to watch literally the golden age of humanity return. You're going to watch that. You know, if you're ever in a room with somebody and they start to laugh out loud, then everybody notices, then everybody else will start to laugh. When you're around people that are really upset and sad, then everybody tends to get upset and sad. So you have to understand that there's a movement of consciousness underway to ennoble, honor, and cherish the people of Earth. You think somebody like Donald Trump is working on his own? Do you think he's by himself? No, he's not. God is working with that man. And many others. Understand, and it sounds strange, but understand, how many leaders have you known? I'm 65. And in my 65 years, I've never seen one politician, not one, that has said and done what they said consistently and repeatedly. I'm not a trumpet, but I can see a man of truth, a man of integrity right in front of me. Right? I'm Canadian, so I kind of admire what's going on. I hope it sets in motion. I hope he sets in motion a domino effect where people start to really live not from what they say, like most politicians have done for the last 100 years. They live from what they say, and people are so easily manipulated by the way they say, "Oh, we're going to give you this, we're going to do that for you," and they give you these nice, sweet, sweet words, but you name one politician in the last 100 years that has done everything they said they were going to do, even in this short time frame. I wish to see that in my country, Canada. I would love to see the right leader in our Canada emerge who says and does what he says. That is what the world needs. The world doesn't need sweet sounding words from politicians anymore. The world needs men that are in integrity. They don't just say something without doing it as well. And we need that. So hang on. There's a massive change happening on the planet. It's upsetting the world markets, but it's just an adjustment, right? It's just an adjustment. It's like trying on a new pair of shoes. You got to wear them in a little bit for them to be comfortable sometimes. Be patient. You made a choice. Those of you that were supposedly against Trump were for human happiness and well-being. And it is very different than what you think it is. Human happiness isn't about being medicated and drugged and poisoned. Human happiness is not about poverty and suffering. Human happiness is about creation, compassion, kindness, development, growth. I'm sorry, I'm going on my own little thing here, but it's really important you understand that. You know, it really, really is that you understand that. That there is a massive change towards the light happening on this planet. A lot of people know this. You hear a lot of people talking about it on the different social media platforms. There's a change, and everybody knows it. And that change is the awakening of our divine nature. The embodiment of God into the human realm again. We begin to live with and through God instead of our own egos, which are very limited in their capacities. But hydration, grounding, very important. Very, very important in the next little while. Hi. Good morning. Glad you joined. Hi. Hey there. Hi. Good to see you. I've got a very hello. Any message for me? Yeah, we got that one. I've got a very choking cough. Can the divine team help and advise, please? Okay, Polly, let me just tune into your energy here. Yeah. Well, it's obvious I'm getting that you have some form of an infection. You have some form of an infection that needs to be cleared out. Increase your water intake. Increase citrus fruits. Increase citrus fruits. Tangerines, oranges, lemons, grapefruits. Increase your citrus fruit intake. Citrus fruits are eliminators. They tend to remove things from the body that the body does not need. So go to citrus fruits. That's what they're telling me to tell you. Citrus fruits and increase your water. When you're breathing, because there's a lot of fear connected to your breathing, and a lot of that fear is connected to past events that have not been resolved in your consciousness. Bring your hands to your lungs, bring your hands to approximately where your lungs are, and hold your hands over your lungs. Allow the energy from your hands to go into your lungs. Close your eyes and feel the energy from your hands going into the lungs. You'll feel it. Your body will first perceive it as heat, but that heat is a transference of energy from your hands to the lungs. So let's let your lungs receive that energy and become aware of how the lungs feel receiving that energy. As you become aware of how the lungs are feeling that energy, communicate this thought to the lungs. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you do for me. Communicate that thought into your lungs. Let your lungs receive that thought from you. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you are doing for me. and stay in that energy for about 10 minutes. Like, do that frequently throughout the day. Hands over the lungs area. Keep the lungs and communicate your gratitude to the lungs. Thank them for everything they're doing for you, because your lungs are under a lot of stress right now. They're trying to process these old emotions that are suppressed in your body. You know, disease is a product of energy, right? But you know, those parts of your body need that energy from you right now, right? But increase your water intake and go through that practice throughout the day, like as often as you can. Even when you're coughing, think to the lungs. Thank you for everything you're doing for me, because your lungs are trying to remove from the system the chemistry that's been a byproduct of those old emotions you've been holding on to for many years. Our experiences generate sensations. Those sensations produce emotions. Those emotions produce chemistry. Those chemistry can accumulate and grow in your body over time. Your emotions can accumulate in your body and produce dysfunction and disease. So it's very important to learn how to get in touch with the body and give it the energy that it needs. But that will be very helpful for you, Polly. You go right into that, darling. Hi. Hi, Drusilla. Yeah. Understand, it's going to be difficult, but you've been conditioned by a socialist government that's taught you that you don't matter, basically, that they know what's best for you, that government knows what's best for you. Government is only there to ensure there's no force or fraud perpetuated onto you by others. That's it. Government is a system of order that's designed to uplift its people, not to suppress them. But yeah, I love it too. I love what's going on. Like I said, I'm quite envious of the American people right now. Are so blessed. If the whole world could model the constitutional republic of America, and if the whole world could model the embodiment of the Bill of Rights, this world would become heaven on earth. So I have to clear that out from Polly. There you go, kiddo. That should help. Yeah. Gotta let those old emotions go, Polly. I can't believe you're 65 years old. I thought you were maybe 60, maybe 55. Yeah, I know, it's kind of cute, eh? Life does that. Did I find a good lawyer, or did I find a lawyer someone else wanted me to find? That's a great question. You already know the answer to that. I'm getting yes to your consideration. You found a lawyer that somebody else wanted you to find. And you've got two choices. I'm being told you have two choices here. You can ask the higher self of that lawyer that no matter what he thinks or feels or believes, that he's going to work in your highest good. This is one choice. You can talk to the lawyer's higher self and say, I want you to work on behalf of the best possible outcome for me, no matter what you think or feel or believe. I know it sounds strange, but when you talk to somebody's higher self, it can have a way of changing things around any situation in very different ways. Yes, the higher self exists. It's a real thing. What happens to star seeds as time goes on? Again, everybody comes to this world in different ways, for different reasons, for different forms. Some beings come into this dimension to experience the physical world only. A lot of people wonder why sometimes a baby will come into the world and just leave suddenly, or why somebody dies all of a sudden. They've had their experience. If you think the body and the personality is the soul, you're mistaken. The body and the personality are constructs of this physical world. The soul, you, is the one that can operate the mind and operate the body. And you came here for experience, to experience a physical dimension. It's really easy. It's not complex. You came here to experience a physical dimension, to learn to grow and evolve through that experience, right? A lot of the ascended masters ascend. They leave this physical dimension and they work on a different plane of consciousness. But yes, star seeds, those of you that have come from like the Pleiades or Lyra or Proxima B or places like that have come here to experience this physical world, have come to choose, because this physical world is different than other physical worlds, different life forms, different constitutions, environmental constructs. There are creatures like the tardigrade who can live in space. There are environments that are inconceivable for the human body to live in. Like if an astronaut were to step outside of a capsule into the vacuum of space with no protective gear on, he would just die, because the body is not structured for that type of environment. But look at the tardigrade. It can live in that environment. It can live in many different environments. So different star seeds will come to this world for this experience. And when you finished your experience, you'll go to another one, because the dance through life isn't about being the same. The dance through life is about experiencing transformation and change. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. There we go. Thank you. Am I in the right profession? Hi. You're not in the wrong profession. I'm being told to tell you there's more that you need to do. The profession that you're in is a foundation for other things that you will grow into. Do not say, should I do this or should I do that? Do not do that to yourself. So many of you do this. You say, do I do this or do I do this? Don't or yourself. If you or yourself, you're going to split yourself into parts. You want to do this and this. Don't do just one thing. Try multiple things. Do this and this and this and this and this. The people that understand the power of and live wonderful lives. They don't get stuck into a single way of living. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're wonderful people that will stay at a job for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And they love it. That's their thing. But for those of you that are restless, that are wanting to experience more, it's a little difficult to stay in one thing. But if you want to explore beyond what you know, you need to add on to your life, not subtract. I don't know how to go from this job to this job. Well, do this job and that job. Will it be more work, more hour, more effort? Yes. But you'll expand your capabilities without even knowing you're doing it sometimes. Question, why was I dizzy in bed this morning? Thank you, Diane, for that question. A lot of people have been experiencing symptoms. Understand that this massive movement of energy upon the planet, this movement that we call the ascension movement, where the functional energy of the sun is changing. The sun is a living entity. The sun is a living entity. The earth is a living entity. You are a living entity. And all of us interact with each other. We affect each other. You know this just from being in a room with other people, how you feel around them, how they feel around you. We affect each other. Planets are living beings. Stars are living beings. We affect each other. And the sun is going through a transformation and change of its own. Just like you look at the sperm and the ovum when they come together, go through this massive transformation from one state into another state, into another state, into another state, till it becomes a human baby. What a wonderful thing, eh? Aren't babies wonderful? They're beautiful beings, watching new souls come in. But suns and planets also go through evolution, just like your body did from the time it was born to now. It went through various states of development and evolution. You think the sun isn't like that too, or the earth? So a lot of the energy that the sun's putting out now is affecting us. What we talk about this ascension movement in our master classes, where you can learn how to harness and utilize these energies. And I highly recommend in the morning when you get up, take a moment to connect to the energy of the sun. It's electromagnetically responsible for sustaining and maintaining life on this planet. And most people ignore it, or they're afraid of it, or they've been taught to be afraid of it. Oh, the sun is bad, it's terrible, oh my God. No, it's not. It's the sustainer and the maintainer of life on this planet. And we need to be in honor and in respect for that. And we need to honor and respect this earth. But yeah, that dizziness you were experiencing this morning is this influx, because I've experienced that symptomology too. Again, this is just what's happening. You know, it's like if you take a drug or you drink alcohol, your state changes. So too, when the sun emanates different frequencies of energy, many frequencies that our sciences aren't even aware exist yet. Like science doesn't understand how the universe is connected, right? How they're now starting to discover these things called plasma filaments that are in these vague, faint network between all the planets and stars, now seeing that everything is interconnected. So when you're lying in bed and you feel that, wake up in the morning, connect to the sun, connect yourself to its potential, and it'll connect you. It's already connected to you anyway. Just become conscious of it. You won't find that happening so much anymore. Heart palpitations is another thing I want to say. These energies, your body's electrical. When the electrical flow between the Earth and the sun and the other planets is changing, your body and electromagnetically is going to be affected. Your body is going to be electromagnetically affected when changes happen on the sun, and they affect the electromagnetic field of the Earth. It will affect your electromagnetic field. Meditation, breathing, proper hydration, proper grounding. There are remedies that you can get into so that your body can handle the alterations and adjustments in the current exchange that happens between your body, your Earth, and your sun, right? You want to understand that. Otherwise you think, oh, there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. You're just learning. Hey, Trish, good to see you. Hi, William. It feels like I've been connecting with a being that crossed over in 2018. Tim Burging, is there anything to be expressed? Thank you. If I tune into that energy, it's like it's not my place. He's saying it's not my place. But he's also, I get that he's kind of interfering with you, and I would just kindly ask him to move into a different realm. You don't want him interfering with you, right? I'll leave it at that. You just want to politely ask him to move on, right? Or ask Archangel Michael or Yeshua to help guide him through what he's going through. Again, that's not something I'm going to get into too much more detail about here. I'll leave it at that. I'm looking forward to starting Patreon with you. I'm looking forward to it too, Kathy. We had a wonderful Patreon event the other evening. It was just wonderful. We worked with Gaia, the sun, Pan, and a wonderful group. We had a good turnout at Patreon, and was really taking the lower vibrational energy of the human collective unconsciousness, our lower vibrational fears, our anger, all the pain and stuff we carry collectively, and drawing it up and having it being transmuted by the energy of the sun. A lot of people don't understand this. If 7 years ago I would have thought this, if I heard somebody talking like I'm talking now, I would think they were crazy. Now I'm going like, oh, this is real, right? I never used to believe in Jesus, and now it's like, darn right I believe in Jesus. Question: I started suffering from chronic skin itching. Any thoughts of cause? Again, I'm going to be very careful when I say this. Remember, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a medical intuitive. I only receive information. I transmit it. But there has been a massive effort to try and depopulate the planet, and there have been various methods employed to do so, including providing highly toxic foods, spraying the environment with toxic chemicals, under the guise that they're trying to prevent global warming. There's lots of different things like that happening right now. And one of the things you want to do is you want to find an anti-parasitic, do a little research into parasites that influence and affect the human body. We had an event here about 3 weeks ago where we literally saw all these little things. It was like snow. I'm in a tropical part of the world right now, and we saw this weird snowy like stuff everywhere around us. And then I started seeing stuff on TikTok of people examining that had the same thing going on. They examined it and found that these were bacteria and parasites floating around in the air. And these things get into your system. You will need to learn how to clear the system out of those things. You might also want to do a heavy metal detox, which is, there's a type of material you can get called zeolite, which is a substance that when you consume it, it pulls heavy metals out of the body. But if you do that, it's important you replenish the good minerals like iron and zinc and magnesium the other metals that your body requires, copper, things like that your body needs. So if you're going to do a metal detox, replace the good metals too. Hi, how you? Question. I started. Oh yeah, we got that. Thank you. I thought that was called prana, and people were supposed to want that. I'm not. Dr. June Irwin was talking a lot about that. I'm not sure what that is that you're referring to. Question. Okay. But you want to do the metal detox and do a parasite cleanse. That's all I'll say about that right now. Remember, there's been a concerted effort to deplete the planet under the illusion that there's too many people to take care of. But it's not too many people to take care of. There's just too much greed on the planet by a few. And fortunately, we got a few of those few have awoken. A few of the very elite, ultra rich people have awakened and realized, no, we're not going to do this. Elon Musk has mentioned population collapse is going to be the worst crisis in human history. And he's correct. But that crisis was brought about by other humans who control all the marbles. You know, there's enough land on this earth for everybody to have space to live. You could have your own land, you could build your own home. There's more than enough to do that on this planet right now. And why is that not happening? That's a good question to ask. Right. Is hydrogen and water good for me? Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Casey's asking, what emotions should I release next? I'm being told to tell you sadness. To release the sadness. But first, it's important you understand that the extension of your love towards it must come first. Your extension of your love towards your sadness must come first. Okay. What are my life lessons that I came here to learn? Everybody's come here to learn what they're here to learn, but for you specifically, awaken. Awaken. Awakening is very important. Who are you? Learn to no longer be subjective to the compulsions of the body. Learn to no longer be subjective to the conditions of your mind that have been given to you by the world. Awaken yourself, O soul. Awaken yourself to the realization that you are not your mind, you are not your body. But these are instruments that you must learn to use correctly. You seek to know your purpose, you will find your purpose when you liberate yourself from your subjectivity to your mind and body and learn to utilize them as the divine instrument of grace and love that they intended to be. Wow, that's a good one. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. My son and his family want to move in with us while they look for a house to buy. Will they find one before their baby is born? The answer is yes. What's really important, though, is that they be clear of that outcome. That you be clear of that outcome, because you already have doubt about it, or you would not be asking us this question. You already have doubt. Remove your doubt. That you are literally letting them move in because they will find their house in the proper time. And they must be of the same mindset, so that effort will be determined by the mindset. And you will bring into your experience the existing circumstances that will support it. But you must be very clear that that is what you are doing, not something you're expecting that may or may not happen, but it is what you are doing. You're doing this because they will find their house in time, and they are doing this because they will find their house in time. You must be very clear about that. Very, very clear. Great question, Judy. Hi. Oh, you're very welcome, Coastal. I really appreciate that comment. Thank you for the stars and thank you for the support on the channels. Remember, if you've been enjoying this content today, to like, to subscribe, and share. I'm not bringing anybody on with me today. We're going to, there we go, and now. There we go. But I do want to start making time for that. We're just getting ready to migrate again. Hi. Well, there we are. Thank you for liking the live. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following. Thank you for supporting this channel. I do need to go. I'm honored and privileged. I want to again thank the Divine Collective, and I want to thank all of you for your questions, your considerations. For those of you on my YouTube channel, I will repost the original message on my YouTube channel later today, so you'll be able to watch the message about the human spectrum of consciousness that we are all a part of. And I want to wish you all much love. Have yourselves a most wonderful and a joyful day, and I will see each and every one of you on the Friday edition of Shortcuts for Your Soul. If you want to know more about what I do, go to my website, williammichaelforbes.com, and I will see you on the next one. Much love, everybody. Bye for now.